Anyway, it's wonderful to have you all here.
And isn't it a wonderful thing that you can go global like this, Vic?
I know, I love it. It's so
Yeah, fantastic.
really is, really is. Anyway, okay, well, let's get started. So I want to share with you, if I can. Oh, I'm not the host. For some reason, I'm not the host of my own Zoom. Yeah, I don't know what I've done. I've logged in twice, and anyway, doesn't look like I can. It does not look like I can share my screen with you this evening. So, Jan, who's just joined us this week, have you got the charts there? Did you get the information?
Yes, thank you very much. I did,
Oh,
yes, and worked through the lesson.
yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, thank you.
So let me just work out.
Shall I unmute myself? Shall I mute myself again now? Because if you're going to start.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you can do that. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're getting automatic at putting the thumbs up now, Vic.
Very good. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Jeff. Okay, so this week we're going to learn a finger exercise, which is it really was the exercise that helped my playing explode. It's a really good muscle building exercise. It's very easy to do, but the benefits are so great, and there's so many benefits. So this exercise, I call it the Holy Grail, because it really did turn my playing from being an amateur to a professional. And yeah, I really need to share it with you all. So we're going to do that tonight, but we're going to start with a refresher. We're going to go over what we went through last week, because as I explained, what I like to do is I like to take my time through everything and really make sure that we all digest all the information, especially when we're trying to learn new motor skills, and just repetitive playing. It's like practicing is what we're going to go through, and all these little steps that we go through in the 6-week course are steps that you will continue when you're on your own to help you move forward. When you find something new, if it's a little bit difficult, slow it down, and just repetitive work over it will make it become easier for you. So I want everyone to please go to their chord diagrams, and let's have a look at our chord diagram. And we're going to go through our 4 basic chords is what we're going to go through at the moment. Now, just quickly, how many of you can actually play C, A minor, F, and G7 quite comfortably? Yeah, great. So I just ask for your patience, because there are some absolute beginners who haven't gone through these chords, so it's their first time. So I want them to benefit from our lesson as well. So we're going to go through and just make sure for their benefit that they do understand what we're all about. So when we play our chord shapes, we like to use our fingertips when we place our fingers down on the strings. We have to make sure that we use our thumb as well behind the neck, and that is to help our finger squeeze down on the string, which helps create a nice, clean, clear sound, which is ultimately our goal. So when we play our C chord, we use our 3rd finger on the 1st string. Remember, the 1st string is the one closest to the floor, and our 3rd fret. So our frets are the middle parts, 1, 2, 3. And when we place our fingers down, we actually don't play them on the middle part himself. We play it behind it on the fretboard. So that's our 3rd finger, 1st string, 3rd fret, using our fingertips. That's our C chord. Then we're going to play A minor, second finger, fourth string, second fret. Now our next chord is F. So we don't move our second finger, we add our first finger to the first fret, second string. And you'll notice how just by using my fingertips, that my posture is really high in my fingers. I've got a really nice arch, which keeps all our fleshy part of our fingers away from the strings, so they don't mute the strings, which actually, it mutes our sound, which is not what we're after. We want a nice, big, clean, clear sound. Fingertips. And G7, which is the most difficult chord when we're learning how to play the ukulele. So what we do here is we keep our first finger where it is when we play our F chord, and then we move our second finger down to the third string of the second fret and tilt our palm away from the neck to give us more room to place our third finger down on the first string of the second fret. So we've got 3 fingers on our G7 chord. And back to C. Now we'll just go through those again and one strum on each. So play C, A minor, just a nice easy stroke. I'm using my thumb across all the strings. Add our first finger for our F chord, and then our G7. Start making that move. Bring your second finger down, tilting your palm away from the neck, and then adding your third finger to make our G7 chord. And back to C. Now look, while we're on that note, I'm going to take a minute just to help you make your transition from F to G7 a little easier. So we're going to be playing the song Stand By Me very soon. And what we need to do is to be able to try and stay in time. And one transition that always trips us up is F to G7. So if you don't get it that well today, that's okay. I'm going to ask you, when you're practicing at home, that you slow it down at a tempo that suits you. And I don't care how slow that tempo is. It could be painfully slow, but as long as you can move nice and easily through from one chord to the next. And this is a principle that you will use on other songs as well. So we're going to encounter a few more chord shapes. Might start off by doing that next week. We'll see how we go this week. So going through those transitions of chords in other songs, you want to adopt this principle on how to make it easier for you. Take your time, slow it right down. So let's go from F to G7 a couple of times. One strum, G7, back to F, G7. We'll do that one more time. F, back to G7. Okay, so here's a really good tip for you. When I place my fingers down to play chords, I like my fingers to land on the strings at the same time. Now that's the goal. That's what we want to build toward. And you can only get better at that if you spend a couple of minutes each day working on that particular thing. So F, when I play my G7, so if I'm playing my F chord normally like this, and I want to go to G7, when I move my second finger down, my hand's already starting to move. So I'm doing a couple of actions at the same time. So number one, I'm getting ready to move my second finger down. And while I'm doing that, my hand is moving away. I'll show you what happens when I tilt my hand away. Watch my second finger. I'm not actually even going to move it. I'll just move my hand away. Now see, I just tilted my hand and my second finger is already in position to play part of the G7. And funnily enough, my third finger has moved into position as well. So you want to try and make your fingers land on the strings at the same time. So if you have a chord that's difficult, now for those of you who can play, if you've got a chord that's difficult to play in a song because you're not familiar with it, or it's a little bit of a stretch, that's a really good way to practice getting used to it. Play the chord before it and just go between those two. And if there's a chord after it, you might want to consider going to the next step, adding that in. But, start off with baby steps first. Go from one chord to the next, and then you can add the next chord in. I hope that makes sense. If there's anything that really is powerful in these lessons, it is how you practice. Because if you can practice correctly, it means you don't have to practice for long. And I love that. We don't need to practice for too long. Gone are the hours. I wish somebody taught me that when I was learning. Gone are the hours of practice. I would practice 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I did that for 12 months when I really committed to learning how to play the guitar properly. So, but I wasn't as focused as I'm sharing with you now to be. I wasn't very specific back then. But now, if I set aside 10 minutes of practice, 2 minutes would be spent on, let's say, this area. Another 2 minutes I would spend just on strumming. And if you spend 2 minutes on anything, that's quite a long time. So I would break up my practice that way. If it's a long piece, then I'd spend longer on that. But yeah, how to practice is really important for you. That way you're very focused on what it is you're trying to achieve. And then if you want to keep playing, then you have all the other time remaining to just have fun with it. So, thanks, Cheryl. Thanks. Yes, please. If you want to ask any questions, jump in. Can you? Yeah.
Does it pay for us to sort of set up a schedule of what we should focus on when we're practicing it all the time?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's a great help. Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the things you might want to focus on, Cheryl?
For me, getting faster,
Okay.
pardon me, I've got a bit of asthma tonight. Getting faster is my main thing, just getting fast enough that I'm playing with the song. Bar chords mainly.
Yeah, right. What's slowing you down, do you think? Is it your fingers not moving fast enough?
Yeah. I know most of the chords I want to do. The bar chords are a problem because my finger was damaged some years ago and it doesn't have the force behind it. So
yeah, okay. We could work out an alternative for you.
So I'm not sure how I get around that.
Yeah, there are some shortcuts.
Okay.
For those bar chords.
I hope so. I hope so.
But yeah, look, thanks for raising that. So for some of you, how many of you also have the same problem where you're not changing your chords quick enough in songs?
I have a problem stretching.
Okay.
Actually stretching, particularly these fingers.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, what sort of chord shapes would they be for?
Just say you've got your fingers here and you have to stretch like up there.
Yeah, sure.
It's hard.
It is hard. And the way to overcome that is we just take a little bit at a time. If we can't do some of those chord shapes, then we'll see how we can play a similar chord that doesn't require as much effort.
Okay.
Ultimately, what we do want to do is try and get to play those chord shapes. And for those of you who don't know, we've got these bar shapes where, like, I love everyone learning these chord shapes, and I'll give you an example. I'm going to play a D chord. A lot of people play with their 3 fingers. I prefer to play with my first finger across all the strings and just strum the 3 top strings, or add my 4th finger on the first string 3 frets up, and that completes a major chord. But the key to playing many chords using a bar shape is your first finger. So I can play a D chord. Without moving my hand, I'll play a B minor chord. I can play an E minor chord, an A7 chord, a B chord, and D major 7, D7, D6. So there's like 9 chords I can play without even moving, and that's because of using the bar chord shape. So that's what some of these ladies are talking about, is some of these shapes are difficult. Anyway, those are really good 2 areas that we can work on for you. We're going to find alternatives for you with the stretching. We'll get to this in this lesson. The Holy Grail exercise is fantastic. It really is amazing to help you with your strengthening of your fingers. Okay, so yeah, there we have it. How to practice when you're wanting to practice something that's a little bit difficult, is you just zoom in on that little area and you work on it for 1 or 2 minutes at a time. And if you do that over a period of 7 days, you're going to find it's going to get a little bit easier each time. So we've got our 4, I call them our starter chords. Now we're going to have a look at our strumming patterns, and we're going to play our basic strumming patterns to our 4 starter chords. So can everyone please bring up the chord diagram? The chord diagram. Is everyone right-handed? Oh, Jan, you're left-handed? Do you have a left-handed chord chart? Nice, because I've actually got a chord chart of Stand By Me for left-handed players. So, with that said, we're going to do level 1 strumming, and we're going to play 2 bars of C, 2 bars of A minor, 1 bar of F, 1 bar of G7, and then back to 2 bars of C. And I'm just Googling my metronome. And 44 beats per minute seems to be the magic number. Can everyone hear that metronome? Great. Now level 1 strumming is on the beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we start with the downstroke. 1, 2, 3, 4, and again 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we move to C minor. So we're going to all play that together. Are you ready? I'll count us in. And when we're strumming, it's all about a nice smooth action across all the strings, both on your down and your upstroke. So down, up, down, up. And just quickly, we can use our thumb. I like using my index finger. You can use your thumb for your downstroke and your index finger for your upstroke. Or you can put your thumb and finger together as if you're holding a pick. Or You can actually hold a pick. Sort of the main options for your strumming. There's no hard and fast rules. It's whatever suits you. I just like using my first finger. And a nice smooth action, big sound. And we're going to start with the C chord. I'll count us in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Downstroke. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again. 1, 2, 3. To an A minor chord. Second finger. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again. 1, 2, 3, 4. To an F. Add our first finger. 2, 3. Now we're going to move to a G7. 1, 2, 3, 4. And back to C. 1. 2 bars of C. And again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we'll stop there. Now for all of you beginners, I know that that F chord to a G7, because we only hold it for 1 bar of each, may be a little bit quick for you. That's where when you practice you can use your metronome and go even slower. So we did it at 44 beats per minute. If you want to slow it down to the slowest that you can handle, that's the best way for you to practice. And it's just making sure we can get through those 2 chords, F to G7. So that's 2 bars on C, 2 bars on A minor, 1 bar of F, 1 bar of G7, and 2 bars of C again. So that was level 1 strumming. Now we're going to go to level 2 strumming. It's going to be at the same speed, only we're going to add an extra beat in our strumming. So it's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so that's how our strumming is going to be as well. I'll count us in. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. C. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. A minor. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. To an F. 1 and 2 and 3 and G7. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Back to C. 2 bars. And 2 and 3 and 4. One more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And stop there. So that's our level 2 strumming. It's got an extra strum beat in there, which is fantastic. So once again, if it's a little bit too quick for you, just slow it down to a speed that really suits you. We're going to play the same chords, only we're going to use level 3 strumming now. And I love the level 3 strumming. Actually, I love them all, but level 3 adds a swing feel to it, so it really does give you a different feel to the song. And the pattern is the same as level 2, only when we say and, that and moves quicker to the main beat. So if we go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, as opposed to 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it sounds like this. I'll play a C chord. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we'll go through our 4 starter chords, through our level 3 strumming, and see how we go. I'm going to check our speed, because I think 44 beats per minute might be a bit too slow. Yeah, it's a little bit slow. So I'm going to move it up to 60 beats per minute. Which it might sound like it's quicker, but it's a much better tempo to play this strumming pattern with. Okay, we'll see how we go. I'm just going to practice playing 4 bars of C just to get everyone used to this level 3 strum first. So it's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. I'll give you an example. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 2 more bars. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And we'll stop there. Lovely strum. Not really that easy, but you know, hopefully we can at least give it a go. Please send me some messages if you're struggling with it, and then I'll be able to jump in there and work out a plan to help you get through that. But for those of you who can play it, happy days. Let's play Stand By Me with level 3 strumming. So that's 2 bars of C, 2 bars of A minor, 1 bar of F, 1 bar of G7, and back to 2 bars of C. So we're up to 60 beats per minute. I'll count us in. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. A minor. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And again. And 3 and 4. To an F. 1 and 2 and 3. G7. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. To a C again. And 2 and 3 and 4. One more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And stop there. How'd you all go? Nice. Nice one, Shil. Oh, can you unmute, please? Can you unmute?
Sorry.
No problem.
Oh,
Yes. How did you go?
I was better this time than the first time. I was about 4 beats behind the first time I ever tried it.
Oh, great. Have you been practicing?
I have been.
Oh, that's great. So was that too quick for you? 60 beats per minute?
No, not that song it wasn't, but the other songs it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done. Thanks for that. Okay. I'll get you to mute yourself again, please. So there we have it, our 3 levels of strumming for our beginners. When I strum, I like to be very relaxed. Notice my wrist got a little bit of a roll on it. And the main reason why I love using my index finger is because I can get a lot quicker with it when I decide to play fast. So that works for me. So if you want to be able to play fluent, fluently like that, then just get used to getting that roll on your strumming, and going through each level is a great way to do it. 1, 2, 3, because we're teaching our body something new. Da, da, da. Quick story. I taught myself how to do the triple strum. Now, everyone knows who Jake Shimabukuro is. If you don't, he's like the guru of ukulele playing around the world. And he's got a video on how to do the triple strum. And I tried it his way, and it was a little difficult for me, so I did it the opposite way around. So here's how I do it. I'm going to use a C chord, triple strum. I I use my index finger to go down first. Then my thumb is in position to go down for the next strum. And then the next part is coming up. So there's the triple action. So the first part is your finger, thumb, and then back up. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So I felt really comfortable doing it the way I did it, and it took me honestly like 2 weeks before I could create that habit. But in that 2 weeks, I was walking around the house with my ukulele, sitting down watching TV. Wherever I was practicing my triple strum. It drove my family mad. But my point is, if you practice something regularly, you'll soon get good at it. The triple strum, and how I got there is I just kept working at it. Anyway, that's not in this lesson. That's for another time. But there you have it, our 3 levels of strumming, basic strumming, and going through our song Stand By Me. So it's a really good song to start with. Does everyone know the song? Everyone know the song? Yeah, great. Great.
Vic, can you put it back up so I can download it again? I lost a couple of your pages recently.
Yeah, no problem. I think they're still there. I'm trying to be clever and putting up folders now each week, so there's not just a big collection of charts everywhere. Week 1, you get a certain chart from there, and
okay.
I'll put it all up. And I'll have the left-handed charts in there for you as well, Jen. Alrighty, so let's move on. Let's have a look at what else is going on here. Actually, before I move on, have you all got that chord diagram in front of you? And it's the Stand By Me one. So it's got the arrows for your strumming, and it's got the C followed by a bar, another C. Is that the chart you guys have got? Yeah? That's what they call a chord chart. That's a chord chart. So a chord is in what they call a bar, and a bar is represented by a straight line, the end of a bar, and then you put the name of the chord in there again, and it's finished with another bar, and so on. And in that particular chart, it starts with 2 double lines and 2 dots on the inside, and then the first row you play through, then you go down to the next row, and at the end, it finishes with 2 lines and 2 dots. Now those lines and dots represent a repeat sign. So the 2 at the top is the start of the repeat sign, and the double lines of the 2 dots at the end represent the end of the repeat sign. And what that is telling you is that when you start the song and get to the end where the 2 dots and the double lines are, it's telling you to go right back to the beginning of the other double line and the 2 dots, and you play everything in between. So that song with those 4 chords in that order, that's the formation of the chord. That's the chord progression for the entire song. It does not change, which means it's a perfect song for beginners. Perfect song for beginners. So it's important for me to be able to describe how we read those chord diagrams. So when I edit this video, because I'm actually recording this on my own camera as well, I'll have those charts in the video so everyone can see them. But that's a chord diagram. sorry, a chord chart. A chord diagram is, you know, how to play the chord shape. That's a chord diagram. Chord chart is telling you how to play the chords and where to play them. All right. Excuse me, get my notes. Now, with some of the reasons for not being able to play your chords quick enough, not being able to go from one chord to the next quick enough, especially for a beginner, one of the reasons is not remembering what the chord shape is, where to place your fingers, and which fingers to use. So for our beginners, with our G7 chord, try and remember that it's 3 fingers. So when we go from C, 1 finger, A minor, 1 finger, F, 2 fingers, and then G7, 3 fingers. And also when you play your chord, say the name of the chord. C, A minor, F, G7. What I used to get some of my younger students to do is I would have little pieces of paper for those 4 chords, and I would jumble them up and then would set them up, and whatever order they came out at, they had to play those chords in that order. And it was really helpful. I called it the chord game, and we ended up being able to play, and we can do this with our 8 chords that we're going to use this week. We were able to play all those chords a little easier and started remembering them a little quicker because of the chord game. So if you have your chords out, mess them up and then put them in order, and then you've got to say pull out a chord, play it. It's just trying to come up with ways to help you remember what the chord is related to the name, and also what the shape is. So I like to try and take a memory picture of my chord shapes, and just even having the idea of what it looks like, where exactly it is on the neck, and which fingers are placed on the strings. So I would use that as well as information to help me be able to play my chord shapes quicker. So that's one of the areas that, and one of the reasons why some people weren't able to play their chord shapes quick enough. It's because it's a bit of a struggle to remember them. And especially when you're playing a song, because the song does not stop. It just keeps going. And if you're trying to think of what that chord is, by the time you remember it, the song could very well have carried on and left you behind. So I've got it in here that I want to come up with ways for you to memorize your songs. And this applies to any chord and any song, which is why I really emphasize slowing everything down. It just helps me retain the information a lot easier and a lot quicker if I were to slow things down. So this chord formation for our UK players, it's a song called Dumb Things. It uses these chords, and we add a D chord in there as well. It's a song called Dumb Things by a gentleman called Paul Kelly. So if I remember, I'll try and put a reference of that song up, but it's quite a fast song, and you've got to remember what those chord shapes are to be able to play them that quickly. I'll give you a quick example. So it's A minor to E minor. And it's these next 4 chords that make all the difference. A minor, C, G, D. You can play your D any way you want, but A minor, C, G, D, and they move really quickly. So here's the example. 3 times on A minor, E minor, A, C, G, D. moving very quickly. So, you know, if you want to play a song like that, you've really got to know what your shapes are, and it's all achievable. We would be able to play a song like this in this 6-week course if it were in the course. And the way we would do it is we would just slow it all down. But we're saving that little gem for later on. Anyway, how to remember your chord shapes. That's definitely one way, is by saying the name of the chord every time you play it. Trying to remember what the shape looks like. Actually really trying to work on, that's my second finger on that string, and try and take a photographic shot of it that you can remember. Using the chord game, writing your chords down, even if you wrote them down in order on a piece of paper and you wrote them out 3 times, but you wrote them out in a different order and went through, put your timer on and try and play those 4 chords using a timer, 1 strum on each. Change it around, find out what the order is, but find out when what the time is at the end of the exercise, and the game is to try and beat your time. But if you do that and you play that game, there is a trick, not a trick, there is a rule, and the rule is you have to make your chord sound really nice and clear before you can move on to the next chord. So if you played a C, nice, A minor, F, and you stumbled, you've got to play a nice clean F before you can move on to the next chord, and same with the G7. So I call that the chord game. Use that in other songs and other chords that you want to get familiar with, and it's all about beating your time. Okay, hopefully that's helpful for you. All right, this is my magic moment of sharing with you the Holy Grail. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it's a simple exercise, but when it's done properly, it is one of the biggest game changers you will come across to help you improve your playing, to help strengthen your fingers, to help with your coordination between both hands, your strumming hand and your chord hand, to help with your finger posture, and to help with the quality of your sound. So many benefits just to this one exercise. And here it is. I'm just going to use a downstroke on my thumb for each note that I play. And what it is we're going to use these 4 frets. Fret 1, fret 2, fret 3, and fret 4. And our fingers 1, 2, 3, and 4 are going to be assigned a fret each. So fret 1 is finger 1, fret 2 is finger 2, fret 3, finger 3, and fret 4 is finger 4. And we're going to start with our 4th string. The 4th string is the one closest to our chin. The one below that is 3. The one below that is number 2. And number 1 is the one closest to the floor. So we're going to place our first finger on the 1st fret of the 4th string. And we're going to do a downstroke. Then we're going to place our 2nd finger on the 2nd fret. Another downstroke. These are all downstrokes. And then finger number 3, 3rd fret. 4th finger, 4th fret. Then we're going to move to the next string. 3rd string, 1st finger. Finger number 2, finger number 3, and finger number 4. And then the next string. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the next string. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's half of the exercise. The other half is going backwards. So we'll do that in a minute. I just want to take a minute to get you all just to practice that part of the exercise. Okay, so we're going to play to a metronome, and we're going to see what our magic number of 44 feels like. It might be a bit quick. With this exercise, you don't want to rush it. If you go and try and do it fast, you miss out on all the benefits that it offers. So, when we play it, we want to have our notes ringing for as long as we can. We want long notes. And in order to get those long notes, you have to press down and hold that note. As soon as you let your finger relax, it cuts the note off, which is why we want to have long notes. And you also want to make sure you use your fingertips. This exercise is great to help you with your finger posture. And what that does is it gets you ready to play all these hard chords that are coming up. But you also need a little bit of muscle to hold your fingertips down on those strings. Now ultimately, when you do this exercise, you want a nice, clean, clear sound. Don't worry and don't panic if it doesn't happen straight away. That will happen eventually, but it's certainly nothing to panic about, because we're learning something new. We're trying to build our muscles in our fingers and our hands, trying to teach them to do something they've never done, and they're using muscles that they've never used before, and they're being told something to do which they're not used to, and that is holding down those notes. So if you don't have a clean, clear sound at this stage, I want you to practice this exercise down and back. At least go down once, twice. At least try it every day, twice, down and back. And if you do that, I guarantee by the end of 7 days, it's going to be a little bit easier for you. So try not to go too fast. I think 44 is probably on the cusp of being too fast. Let's have a look. So we're going to start with the downstroke. I'll count us in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. Down. 2, 3, 4. Next string. Next string. Next string. And stop there. How'd you go? Oh, nice. Oh, that's okay. I don't mind that. I want to hear from the ones that went like this, and then I'll go back to the ones that went like this. Cheryl, how'd you go?
I lost it a couple of times. It was a fraction fast for me.
Yeah, okay.
But other than that, I mean, I could get...
Okay, as long as you've got the concept of the exercise, then do
just a fraction too fast.
Do you have a metronome that you use when you practice?
Oh yeah, I've got the concept. It's good.
Yeah, and do you use
yes, I have a new metronome.
Oh yeah, brilliant.
I bought.
Well, find out what's the slowest you can go, and or the metronome can go, and then just
I have a
find your comfortable speed. It doesn't need to be 44 beats. Whatever's comfortable for you, and if you find it, then that's.
I went out and purchased a metronome. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's how we're going to beat that. We're going to slow it down a little
Yeah,
bit
it's going good.
with your new metronome. But thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Can you mute yourself again, please? And there was someone else who went like this. I want
Okay.
Yeah, can you unmute and tell me what happened, please?
I wasn't watching the strings. I wasn't watching the strings and I was missing them. I should have been down here and I was still going.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, well, do whatever you need to do to get through it. But yeah, look, it also helps with your accuracy and the coordination between both these hands. So once again, just slow it down to a speed where you can comfortably pluck every note and place your finger on every note. And whatever that speed is for you, then yeah, that's fine. So find your speed that suits you guys. But yeah, you got to have a look. You got to have a look because your fingers could be on one string here and your thumb could be playing a different string down here. So I've done that many a time. It happens to all of us. But thanks for sharing, ladies. I want to hear from Jan. And Jan, have you done an exercise like this before?
Yes, we have. Jan and I belong to a U3A group. I don't know if you've got it over in ours, but we do that exercise. But we start with an open string first, and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on to the next string, open 1, 2, 3, 4, etc.
Oh, nice, nice. That's
for me,
great. Sorry, Jen.
I was going to say, for me, it's like starting over again because I've been using the pads of my fingers rather than the tips without realizing. I tend to be with the index finger and kind of on the tip. That's fine. But the other three, I'm having to relearn that now, which I'm very grateful for. And I'm sure I'll feel the benefit from it eventually.
Oh,
so it is like a new beginning.
No, that's great. So with you using your pads for some of your chords, do you find that you still get a clean sound from some of the chords you play by using your pads?
Not always. No, not always. So that's something to work on. That's definitely something I need to work on.
Yeah, and that exercise will definitely help with that.
Mm.
Oh, but that's awesome. That's awesome that you already know the exercise. It's really powerful. So I suggest we do it twice a day. When I say twice a day, go down and back, and that's twice. If you even do that twice a day, or even if you do that each day, by the end of 7 days, it's going to be a lot easier. And what we're looking for is that nice, clean, clear sound. Ultimately, that's what we want to do. So when we progress from these 6 weeks, we're moving into the next level with already a really good, solid, controlled sound, both with our strumming and with our chord shapes. So lovely. Very good. Now that's only half the exercise, folks. The other half is going backwards. So once we go down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. When we get to our fourth finger, we start with our fourth finger and then we go back toward the top string. So I'll quickly show you what that looks like. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our fourth finger on the first string of the fourth fret, and then we're going to all do it together, and we're going to go back toward the fourth string. So start on the first string closest to the floor, and then make our way back to the fourth string closest to your chin. We'll do that together, and then we're going to do the exercise again, and we're going to do the whole thing down and back. I'll slow it down to 40 beats per minute. I'll count us in. Remembering, first string, 4th fret with our 4th finger. What can I sing? Notice all my fingers are already on each of those frets. It's ready. So all I need to do is lift them up. Okay. I'll count us in. 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. 4, 3, 2, 1. Next string up. 4, 3, 2, 1. Next string up. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. And there we have it. Part 2 of the Holy exercise. The Holy Grail exercise. So get yourselves ready. We're going to do the whole thing again. I like that speed, 40 beats per minute. That was a little bit better. Are we ready? We're going to start with our first finger, first fret, 4th string, one closest to my chin. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next string. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next string. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next string. 1, 2, 3, 4. And backwards. 4, 3, 2, 1. Next string. 4, 3, 2, 1. Next string. 4, 3, 2, 1. Next string. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bravo. Well done, everyone. How'd you all go? I think that's about all I've got for you this evening. I think that's quite a lot of information that we've gone through. How did you go through? How did you all go through this evening with all the, all the information shared with you guys? How'd you go? Did you go through it okay?
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. I did find it harder going back up the frets than going forward, from the top string to the. Yeah, so when you go back up, it was harder, but I'll practice it more. I'll practice it for sure.
Absolutely, Jan. Yeah, it will definitely get easier for you. But that's, so there's a lot going on with that exercise. 1, you've got to try and stay in time. 2, you've got to try and make sure you're picking the right string. And 3, you've got to make sure you're trying to get a good sound. There's a lot of things happening all at the one time. And once again, if your metronome can go slower, then do it slower. But if it can't, then don't use a metronome. Just do it slower.
Yes.
Without a metronome.
Yes.
And do it at a speed that suits you. And you really want to go for those clean notes. But I will say, my thumb is doing a lot of work. It's doing a lot of work in the background. It's really supporting my fingers, because pressing down on each of those strings is crucial to getting a clean sound. Otherwise, we're going to end up with sounds like.
Yeah.
Which is normal. It's taken me a while before I could get those clean notes. But anyway, 2 minutes a day on your strumming, 2 minutes a day on your chord changes, 2 minutes a day on your Holy Grail. There's nothing else to do after that except just play some tunes and have a bit of fun. But if if you be specific with your practice in that fashion, over a period of 7 days, when I see you again next week, I have no doubt you're going to be just that little bit more improved with your playing. So any questions before we go?
Oh, I don't have any questions, but it's good for de-stressing.
Yes.
De-stressing.
Why do I occasionally get a buzz?
Sorry, ladies, what was that?
My question, why is it sometimes you get a buzz sound on one note? What am I doing that causes a buzz?
Placement of your fingers, that's a good question. It could be placement where your finger is pushing down on the string. So in the event of practicing an exercise like this and your chord shapes, you get to find it's like finding the sweet spot where your finger feels very comfortable on the string to create a sound. And if it's a buzzy noise, it could be the ukulele as well. Play the note beside it, see if it's buzzing there, and the note behind it. See if that's causing a buzz. It could be that, but if it's not, it's probably placement of where you're putting your finger, and if there's enough pressure pushed down on the finger as well. Placement.
Okay, thank you.
Placement on the fretboard.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
No, you're so welcome. Anyway, if you do have more questions, please email me. I'll try and get this up in the next day or so, this video. But I want to say thank you for joining me this evening. I really appreciate it. You being here is also a really big help for me. And that is to help me become a better ukulele teacher, because this is a new career path I want to take from this point on. And I wouldn't know if I'm doing a good job or not if I were trying to practice on my own. So, it's a win-win situation for both parties, you and myself. So if you check out any of my videos on my channel, I'd really love for you to like any of them and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment, and please just keep in touch. If you're struggling in any area, send me a message, and then I know I'll be able to help you through that. But in the meantime, share what you know with others. If you come across other players and something works for you, share it with them, help them, and just have a lot of fun, and see you all next week.
Thank you so much, Vic. Really enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.